record. So hello everyone, and welcome to our information session for the Master of Development Practice program at UC Berkeley. My name is Tina Kushner. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director focused on admissions and student affairs for the program. I'm also joined by a number of my colleagues who I'll introduce shortly, and we're again thrilled that you're interested in the program and that you're joining us today. So also joining us today is Annie Campbell-Washington, our Senior Assistant Dean of Academic Programs and Dean of Students, Michelle Reddy, our MDP Program Director and Assistant Professor, Krista Zimmerman, our Associate Director of Career Services and MDP Career Advisor, and Lilia Wan, MDP Program Assistant. So you'll be hearing from each of us throughout this session. And during our session today, we will provide you with an overview of the Goldman School and the MDP program. We'll discuss the program admissions and deadlines, share funding and financial aid information, and then of course invite you to ask any questions that you might have about the program. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Annie, who will kick us off with highlights of the Goldman School. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you, Tina. It's great to see everyone this morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Annie Campbell-Washington, and I use the pronouns she, hers. And I'm Senior Assistant Dean of Academic Programs and Dean of Students here at the Goldman School of Public Policy. I'm actually an alum of the school. I graduated back in 2000 with my Master of Public Policy degree, and then went on to a long career in local government in Oakland, California, which is a neighboring city, and then came back about 6 years ago, and now absolutely love my role where I have an opportunity to work with all of the students at the Goldman School. We have 3 different master's degree programs. So in addition to the MDP, we also have a 2-year Master of Public Policy degree program, a 1-year mid-career Master of Public Affairs program, and a PhD program, as well as a very popular undergraduate minor program. So it's my honor and pleasure to be here to represent the Goldman School of Public Policy. And I'm proud to say that we are one of the first public policy schools in the nation. We were founded in 1969. We are ranked #1 in public policy analysis program in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. And when you are a student in the MDP program, you have an opportunity to work alongside the students in the other degree programs that I mentioned. You also have access to top graduate programs and classes across the campus, which we'll touch on later, and so many multidisciplinary opportunities and research opportunities across the campus. We pride ourselves at the Goldman School in the MDP program that we prepare students for a very diverse set of careers in development practice, domestic and international policy, and many of our students go on to careers in the public sector as well as nonprofit and the private sectors, which we'll talk more about later in the presentation. Thank you, Tina. So when you are a student at the Goldman School of Public Policy, you have access to a community that is diverse. You're in the midst of an academic educational learning environment that is rigorous, stimulating, and there's many opportunities to connect with not only your cohort of students, but students in the other programs. We pride ourselves that we are preparing you for careers as soon as you step out the door. So in your classes, you will have an opportunity to delve into real world case studies and do analysis on things that are happening in the world today. You have an opportunity to develop a very close-knit community with the students in your program. and we offer a superior set of student and career services. I really love to highlight the career services that we provide at the Goldman School and our student services, because we really do put a very high priority on those services and make sure that every student feels very supported by our student services and have access to very high quality career services, which Krista will touch on later. And of course, I have to mention that we're located here in the beautiful Bay Area that has gorgeous weather nearly year round. So it's a very lovely place to be. Thank you, Tina. We also offer, of course, a renowned faculty at the Goldman School and in the MDP program. You have access to faculty members who are doing cutting edge research, as well as their practitioners in the development practice field. So we've listed some areas of expertise here and our faculty, and you also have access to faculty across the campus, whether it be in the information school, the business school, the law school, public health, you name it, you have access to courses and faculty across the campus as well. Thank you, Tina. So now I'm going to pass it over to Krista Zimmerman, who will talk a bit about where MDP graduates work. Thank you, Krista.
Sure. Thank you so much, Annie. And MDP graduates really work in lots of different places in lots of different sectors. Here you'll see on this screen some of the organizations, companies, and agencies that MDP graduates work with. These are also representative of some of the companies and organizations that MDP students intern with and also do capstone projects with, which you'll hear a little bit more about later. But there's really an opportunity in the MDP program to be working with real-world employers from the beginning of the program to the end of the program, and of course, afterwards. Here's a selection of some of the titles that you'll see that many MDP graduates have as part of their work. And you see it ranges from positions focused on climate and sustainability to foreign service, research, and always we have a few students who go on to additional higher education as well.
All right, hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Reddy, and I am a faculty member in the MDP program and the program director. And as such, I'm delighted to speak with you about the academic program at the MDP. So a little bit about the MDP. What is an MDP? So the MDP, the Master of Development Practice, integrates 4 pillars of sustainable development: natural sciences, health sciences, social sciences, and management. And UC Berkeley is the ideal place to do an MDP because we have such strength in our faculty across campus in these areas, at the Haas School of Business, at the School of Public Health, at the Goldman School of Public Policy, and at the College of Natural Resources and beyond. Those are kind of the main schools where our students take classes, but we also see them taking classes in urban planning and education, for example. So the MDP is part of a larger network of universities around the world that have MDP programs. It was the MDP Global Association was established in 2007 through basically several meetings of international experts who were working on the Millennium Development Goals, and they realized there was a gap in the training of development practitioners, in that most people were trained in a specific field of development, but there was a need to train generalists who could think across silos in development and really identify solutions to development challenges. So that's a little bit about the philosophy behind the MDP program. And the MDP goes beyond training generalists. We are all about creating leaders who understand the complexity of development work and the solutions. So the MDP is a 2-year full-time program. Our students are actually quite happy that it's a 2-year program. Sometimes applicants like to ask, what's the difference between a 2-year and a 1-year program? And for us, the 2 years really gives students time to delve into the curriculum and also reflect and pivot regarding their career options. We are a STEM designated degree program. So that means that essentially, since we have this focus on science, technology, engineering, and math, international students can have up to 3 years of work authorization once they find a position in the US following their degree. So that's something really nice to know for international students. Like the rest of the Goldman School of Public Policy, we have a very strong focus on quantitative tools and skills that apply to versatile careers in any sector. So really a hallmark of MDP training at UC Berkeley is the obtention of quantitative tools. So each MDP program in the US is a little bit different. We are quant focused, but we also offer courses in qualitative methods as well that are required. We have a flexible elective curriculum with also access to university-wide courses. Our students take courses all throughout Berkeley. International students have always told me one feature of American higher education that they really enjoy is the fact that we have a campus full of departments where people are studying all different fields. So that's one thing that's really unique in terms of American higher education. And given the interdisciplinary nature of the MDP, Berkeley is kind of the ideal place for you to access all of that knowledge across departments. So you can either train as an integrator of approaches to development, you can earn a graduate certificate. So for instance, the School of Public Policy offers graduate certificates in food security, as well as data science. These are some popular ones, or you could also build your own focus area. In terms of focus areas, our students have a variety of focus areas, but in general, they tend to focus on climate change, energy, environment, agriculture, as well as business technology and innovation. But we also have students, for instance, focused on migration, on housing, on education, and on health as well. So here's the curriculum. What can I tell you about the curriculum? In the first year, like the rest of the Goldman School of Public Policy, you have a lot of your requirements, which is great because you're able to get a lot of this done before you go off and do your internship. And then there is a lot of freedom and flexibility in the second year. In your first semester, students enroll in Introduction to Development Practice, which is with me. And then you also take Economics of Sustainable Resource Development, as well as quantitative methods for development. And you can also take a core elective, such as natural resource management, global health, or a business elective. For instance, a lot of our students take a course in social entrepreneurship or development finance. In your spring semester of your first year, everyone takes strategic planning and project management. This is really, really great before you go off and do your summer internship. And then there's a second quantitative course in impact evaluation. And then we also have our qualitative methods course that also focuses on leadership and community development and development economics and political economy as well. And then in the second year, everyone still gets to come together in the capstone course, which runs year round. And that's also with me, where you work on client-based projects. And then there are several electives that you can take across campus. So as I said earlier, one hallmark of the Berkeley MDP is all of these multidisciplinary opportunities. Our students take courses throughout campus, but you can start to take electives in your first year. You'll probably be taking the bulk of your electives in your second year. We really have a strong cohort community. So oftentimes students learn from second years what the best courses are to take and so on. And as I said earlier, the most popular departments for our students to take electives outside of the Goldman School of Public Policy is in the Haas School of Business, as well as in the College of Natural Resources. But really, we see students taking courses all throughout campus, and increasingly, we are seeing students taking courses in the School of Information. Our students are very interested in data science, and given Silicon Valley's role as the hub of innovation and technology, it's something that a lot of our students are drawn to. On the same note, we have a lot of students also interested in critical approaches to development and more social and human development as well. So really the Master in Development practice enables you to access a wide variety of fields and perspectives in the field of sustainable development. And now I will turn it over to my great colleague, Lilia, who is the MDP program assistant, and she will be really happy to tell you a bit more about student and career services.
Thank you, Michelle. So the MDP is categorized as a professional degree program. Therefore, we put a great deal of emphasis on career training, strategy, and support. We want you guys to have the best possible job of your choice upon graduation or shortly thereafter. As you can see, students are given access to multiple student and career services. Some of them are our online job board, where internships, capstone projects, and full-time job opportunities are posted several times a week. And you're also given access to our alumni directory. So that way you can start networking and building connections with alumni as soon as possible. And throughout the year, we also deliver many career services workshops. Some of them are resume and cover letter workshops. There's also networking and salary negotiations, to name a few workshops. We also host large and small scale networking events, including our annual DC networking trip. And we also have our Bay Area networking reception. That's to name a few. We also organize alumni panels on various topics based on student interest. And we also host employer information sessions and site visits each semester. So our students are really privileged to get a lot of student and career services. So our mission really is to provide a comprehensive world-class academic and professional development for you guys to help achieve your academic and professional goals.
Thank you, Olia. So here at Berkeley, we are also committed to admitting a diverse cohort of students, and we recognize that it's crucial that students from various backgrounds and identities feel supported. So as you can see here, the campus has several resources that support student life, wellness, and diversity. And just to highlight a few of them, we have the University Health Services, which supports students in all areas of health. So that would be the go-to place for anything health related. We have the Basic Needs Center and the Food Pantry if students face any type of food insecurity. There's the Berkeley International Office, also known as BIO, who is a great support for our international students. We have the Student Parent Network for our students with children, the Office of Grad Diversity, the Undocumented Students Program, Gender Equity Resource Center, Multicultural Community Center. These are just a few, and there really is so much more to Berkeley and what Berkeley has to offer. We also find that many of our MDP students get involved with student groups. We have a really engaged community here at GSPP, at MDP, and joining a student club is another really great way to get involved and become a part of the community. So here are some examples of clubs that we have at GSPP. Again, just a few that we're able to fit on the page here, but there are also many more on our website. In case you're interested, you can, I would definitely encourage you to take a look. And if you don't see an interest here, then chances are that you can create one. So that's always a possibility. The opportunities are really endless here. All right, and then over the next few slides, what I'll do is I'll share some information about admissions requirements, some tips and important deadlines to keep in mind. So what we look for, we take a holistic application review approach. So that means that everything in your application matters. We're going to look at every component that you provide us and review how you've shared your qualifications and why you chose to apply to the MDP. So we would start by looking at the UC Berkeley Graduate Division admissions requirements, and they state that all applicants must meet these basic requirements, which are a bachelor's degree or recognized equivalent from an accredited institution, satisfactory scholastic average, which usually means a GPA of a 3.0, which is a B on a 4.0 scale, and enough undergraduate training to do graduate work in your chosen field in development practice. So again, these are the basic minimum requirements to be admitted without an exception. And I also want to make sure that I highlight that all applicants who have completed a basic degree in a country or region in which the official language is not English, those applicants will also be required to submit valid TOEFL or ILE LTS scores. And more information and details about the language proficiency requirement is outlined on the Graduate Division website. So they have much more detail on that if that applies to you in your situation. Your commitment to development practice should also be demonstrated in your 2 required essays, which are the personal history statement and the statement of purpose, as well as your letters of recommendation. So the personal history statement, which is typically around 1 to 2 pages, is really your own personal narrative, your story, and should address how your personal experiences informed your decision to pursue graduate school. And in that, you can include any obstacles you might have overcome to get to this point in your seeking for graduate school and the Berkeley MDP. The statement of purpose should focus more on your academic and professional experience and should address those in the past, the present, and future goals. So in terms of length for the statement of purpose, it should be around 3 to 5 pages. And again, there's more information about both of these essays, details, and what we expect you to include in those on our website and the application itself. So next is letters of recommendation, and the most helpful letters that we've found have come from those who have either supervised your work in an academic setting, employment setting, or community service setting. And those who can really evaluate your academic abilities, your experience, and your promise in development practice. So we require 3 letters of recommendation. There's also the quantitative skills. So Michelle had mentioned that there is some quantitative emphasis on the MDP program, and applicants have the option of submitting either official GRE scores or a quantitative resume to highlight your quant experience in an academic or professional setting. No preference will be given to either option, but the admissions committee will be looking for evidence that you can handle the quantitative rigor. And then with work experience, we'll also ask you to submit a detailed resume that showcases what you've been working on, what you've done in the, and there's no page limit for the resume. It is what it would be, a traditional resume with your work experience. And then last but not least, we'll be looking for outstanding academic background and advanced GPA, so that that weight will be placed primarily on your undergraduate advanced GPA, which is typically the courses that you take the last 2 years of your undergraduate degree for those who have completed. Sorry, my AirPod fell out. And those who completed a 4-year bachelor degree. So here we have the statistics from the past two cohorts to give you a general sense of the cohort and the students who are a part of it. So at the very bottom here, we also include average age and work experience along with those ranges. And these tend to remain fairly consistent year to year. So again, keep in mind the ranges, they can be on the lower end, the upper end, but this is just, again, an idea of what the cohort has looked like in the past. So before we move on to finances, I want to make sure that I highlight some points and reminders about the application, which is going to open later today. So first, please keep in mind that the application deadline is December 4th. Take a note of this deadline because we don't offer rolling admissions or accept late applications. Be sure to review our MDP application checklist on our website. Everything on that checklist is really important. So we do expect everything on that list to be included, and we will look at all of it. The resume is required for the MDP application. And again, we don't have a page limit on the resume. We require 3 letters of recommendation. We will also ask you to upload unofficial electronic transcripts as part of the admissions process. You do not need to send hard copies of your transcript to the Goldman School. You may submit official GRE scores or a quantitative resume. Both are not necessary. So choose one or the other, GRE scores or the quantitative resume. All test scores, if you do decide to submit GRE scores, must be submitted electronically and are due by December 4th. So this would include the GRE, the TOEFL, the IELTS scores. All of those must be submitted before December 4th. The statement of purpose and the personal history statement are required. The application fee is $135 for U.S. residents and $155 for international applicants. U.S. citizens and permanent residents may request a fee waiver if they're eligible by following the instructions and completing the waiver form in the payment section of the application. I want to note here, though, that unfortunately, international students are not eligible for the fee waiver, and more information about a fee waiver for the application can be found on the graduate division website. We at MDP don't manage the fee waiver. That's completely managed by the graduate division. So any information or questions that you have would go to the graduate admissions office because they fully manage that aspect. And then please also make sure to take note of the status page on the application website. So once you submit the application, you cannot go in and make changes. You can, however, log back into the application system to monitor the status of the materials that are received or processed. So for instance, the fee waiver from the graduate division, the test scores that are coming through, and your letters of recommendation. All right. So we're getting close to the end with our last section here, and let's take some time to talk about financing your education. And we recognize graduate school is a huge investment, so it's important to consider the cost and how much you can invest in your education. And there are a number of options to help fund your education. So we'll talk about fellowships, financial aid and residency, and graduate student assistantships. So in terms of fellowship opportunities, all applicants will be automatically considered for merit and need-based MDP departmental fellowships. So this would also include fellowships that California residents may be eligible for. The number of students who receive funding varies from year to year, but we do offer a variety of fellowship packages that include or that may include tuition and fee awards, stipends, or a combination of both. We'll also consider and nominate admitted applicants for relevant fellowships offered through UC Berkeley's graduate division. So, for example, the GOP fellowship is a really generous one-year award for incoming diverse applicants, and the fellowship includes 1 year of tuition and fees plus a $10,000 stipend. So if this is a fellowship that you might be interested, please be sure to select the box indicating your interest on the application, and we'll look into your eligibility for this particular opportunity upon admission. We also highly encourage applicants to seek external special interest fellowships. Here I just have a few that our MDP students in the past have considered or have been able to take advantage of, and these can range from the Wrangell, the Pickering, the Payne fellowships to finance their education. Additionally, there are opportunities through USAID, the MasterCard Foundation, World Bank, and Fulbright. So there are definitely a number of opportunities out there. So again, not just at UC Berkeley, but there are a number of external fellowships as well, which is especially an excellent option for international students. We understand that funding can be quite a challenge, and although international students are considered for MDP departmental fellowships, international students are not eligible for most domestic and federal financial aid. So for these reasons, we really encourage international students to research fellowship opportunities from private organizations, both within the US, but also their home country. And of course, despite these challenges, we welcome many international students each year. And it goes without saying that some of the best resources for international students include the Berkeley International Office, BIO, which I mentioned earlier, and the International House. BIO, they offer just a wealth of information about funding for international students and more. And the International House offers housing fellowships each year. So again, many fellowship opportunities available in that. So for financial aid and residency, I wanted to highlight that all U.S. citizens and permanent residents should submit a FAFSA to be considered for federal financial aid. Even if you were to receive a fellowship, you might need to take out loans to help pay for any remaining costs like rent or living expenses. It could also be that there are some fellowships that might require the FAFSA as a part of their eligibility requirement. So it can really be helpful for applicants to complete ahead of time. And then California residents are assessed less tuition and fees than non-residents, and that's because they're not assessed the non-resident supplemental tuition fee or NRSP fee. Because of this, we strongly encourage eligible non-California residents to apply for California residency in their second year so that they don't have to pay that NRSP tuition in their second year. The difference is about $13,000 per year. So it is fairly significant, and more information about that process is outlined in detail on the registrar's office website. Unfortunately, international students are not typically eligible to apply for California residency for tuition purposes, but again, please check out the registrar's website to see if that might be something that you might be eligible to apply for in the second year. All right, last but not least, another way that many of our students fund their education is through academic student employment positions. These are GSRs, also known as a graduate student researcher, and graduate student researchers, for instance, might work with a faculty member on a project or research that they're working on. There are GSIs, which are the equivalent to a TA or a teaching assistant. There are reader positions to support classes by grading and holding office hours, and then tutors. And these are all positions on campus that students are eligible to take on. And those positions that are 25% time or more, which equates to about 10 hours of work per week, based on a 40-hour work week, those 25% time or more positions come with some fee remission as well as a salary. So for California residents, the fee remission for these positions would cover around half of the tuition and fees for the semester. For non-residents, the fee remission would cover around 40% of the tuition and fees. So fee remission is really a significant benefit to students, and they can save thousands in tuition and fees. Plus, students would be able to earn the additional salary on top of that. So it's certainly an option to consider. All right, I know that we covered a lot of information here, so I want to make sure to highlight our email and encourage you, if you have any questions along the way, whether it's after the webinar or as you get started in the application, please do not hesitate to reach out to us anytime. The info-mdp@berkeley.edu is where you can reach us. And then with that, that wraps up our presentation and takes us to the Q&A portion of the session. So again, we recognize we shared a lot of information and there are likely some questions that you have, so we want to open it up to you all. What questions do you have for us? Please feel free to use the raise your hand tool, type your questions in the chat, or come off of mute. We'll stick around and make sure that we answer any questions that you might have.